Okay, OCA is back, and he's released AcoustiX now, which is really, I would say, a combination of Acoustica and Express. It's been out for 2 weeks now, and it's really taken me 2 weeks to fully grapple with all of the settings, what they do, and some of the bugs along the way. So there's been a lot going on over the last 2 weeks, with calibration. I think I've calibrated once with the U-mic and 3 times with the Audyssey mic. So I've done a lot of calibration over the last 2 weeks. Some of this is measuring and really taking measurements seriously, because when I first tried it, I only took one measurement. One position. One position, one measurement per speaker. I just wanted to see how it sounded and what you could do with it. But I quickly found out that that is not the best way to optimize this at all. AcoustiX really benefits from multiple measurements. So once I found out that 9 was the best, you want a system in a situation where, not a system, but you want to get it to the point where if it is kicking out a bunch of measurements from them not being too good, or the noise floor or whatever is too high, you want as many measurements as possible to know that the measurements that you do have are actually good measurements. So I found that when I did a 3 measurement system as well, or a measurement, and there was still not enough, what I would say, there wasn't enough data to say that the one that we were using was actually the correct one. So I was like, look, let's really go for it and do a 9. I did a 9, and instantly the bass was smoother, everything was better about it. So then OCA told me to basically use multi-point measurements. I've been against that for a long time now, and the reason is because it destroys tonality of the speaker. As soon as you measure your MLP measurements, main listening position measurements, and then you move the mic, as soon as you move the mic, you destroy high-end frequencies. This is with REW, this is with multi-EQX, this is probably with a lot of the other calibrations as well, not 100% sure. But as soon as you put other points in there, there's the calculations required to make that sound good just disappear. Now sure, it does improve bass because you get more data from the points that you are in. The more points that you have, the more data you have about how accurate that MLP measurement is. The problem is again though, high frequencies just get tapered down. This is the reason why for the last 2, maybe even 3 years, I've been saying only measure MLP, because it gives you the best tonality all of the time. People kept on telling me, oh, you should measure multiple positions. No, because it destroys sound. OCA though has developed something in AcoustiX which that no longer happens. It no longer destroys sound to measure in multiple positions. That means that measuring in more positions just simply gives you better sound. There's more data there about the accuracy of the bass, what the bass levels are. In MLP, if you have a dip and in the right place or position that you're going to put it in did not have a dip, you now need correlation. So you now need to know the other side. Say what I did was 3 inches to the right and 3 inches to the left. That left and right need to correlate and say there actually isn't a dip here, it's just in this position. So you just get more data and you just get better sound. So now when it comes to Express, I can actually say yes, that multiple positions and microphone positions does make a difference, and it does improve sound. I've been having not arguments but conversations back and forth with people since I really got into it with Acoustica, saying, oh, multi mic positions is better. It's not. It's never been better. And I don't think there's any surround sound system out there. I mean, I can't speak for like Trinov and things like that and what they're actually doing. But if it kills high frequencies and tonality from, say, 5K to 20K, then the system's bad. You can only measure MLP. So now I've heard this and EQ'd it with the multiple positions. It doesn't destroy any high frequencies. Tonality is still there. It sounds to me as though you're almost measuring MLP. That's what it sounds like. But you just have much smoother bass. The bass isn't so, I'll use the word banging, so intense. There is a smoothness about it. So, I mean, look, if you can measure more than 3 positions, probably go for it. I haven't done that. I'm not sure like how much information you actually need. So that's the biggest thing. I guess I'll show you my old with the U mic. What I was doing. This actually caused a little bit of a controversy. Well, not really, but not even on my YouTube channel. I just seen like people on forums and saying, this can't be right that you're tilting the mic down to the center channel. Can't give you better sound, right? Yeah, it does. And with the U mic, not the U mic, the Audyssey mic, you can use this trick as well. You just simply get better tonality from your left and right channels, and any speaker that is in front of you. It is closer to the human hearing system doing it this way than pointing straight up. Now, if you don't believe me, because I know a lot of people like they question like this, my sound went. Oh, it's because I've done this. There's a video here with Anthony Gramani, and he's using the same method. I might do 1080p just so you can see it better. I won't play it. But Anthony Gramani here is setting up his like professional sound equipment, and he's putting his mics at all sorts of different positions, but none of them are straight up. And the reason they're not straight up is because you get better tonality pointing them this way. It's as simple as that. Some people, if you don't want to believe it or you don't want to do it, that's up to you. My goal for my system is always to try things. Do they give me better sound quality? Do they give me better tonality? Is there less harshness, say in 2K to 7K area, snare drums and things for music? This is better. So try it yourself. I know when people see things and hear things for the first time and they're so used to another way, they're antagonistic against it. And this just sounds better. If it's a problem though, like kind of setting up your mic, with angles and stuff, and you're like, look, I just, just do what you can do. You don't have to do anything, but do know that frontal tonality and music just sound better by doing it. And it also works with the Audyssey mic. So with the Audyssey mic, this time around, so I stacked them again to 18 inches, exactly the same as I do with my U mic. But this time I got like, not duvets, but I guess comforters to cover all of the cases, all of the 4K cases, everything. I have weather strips as well that you put around doors. They're just rubber. So I made sure the mic didn't move, nothing moved. I taped down on here 3 inches, and I taped the other side with 3 inches with this tape that is maybe a 1/8 thick. So I can move the cases, and once it hits that, it can't move anywhere. So you measure MLP and then you move it 3 inches to this point, and then you move it to the 6 inches then to the other point, 3 inches from MLP on both sides, and that's it. The measurements, when you're taking, well, it's 11 channels, but you've also got 2 subs, times 9, then you have to do another position times 9 for every single channel. I was finding that it took about 15 minutes per position. So it does take a long time. The most important thing you can do is the measurements, because your knowledge of how to use the software, even the UI, with new, say, EQ ideas, you then have all the data. So while, yes, at the start I took, say, single point measurements, I only did 1 each for 1 speaker. If you want to go all in with this and get the best sound, you're going to have to spend some time doing this. Now, again, prepare your room. I put towels down by every single door. I put towels not even in this room. I knew that where audio could creep through, like windows, bedrooms, and things like that, I also toweled every single door upstairs. This room is upstairs. Every door. I lowered the noise floor so much. Now, this is another thing that I noticed that in my first couple of measurements, and especially my second one where I did 9s, I was getting like rejections. And I'm like, is this because I'm not like lowering my noise floor as low as I can? So what I did with the very latest measurement was, like I said, every door was had towels by it. All windows were actually locked. It's it's winter now, so it would be anyway, but I'm just making sure everything's off. Air conditioning / heat was off as well. And either get people out of the house, dogs, kids, family members out of the house, or say, look, we've got a calibration going on here. I just want this to be quick and easy. Please don't make noise. And I said, it's going to be an hour at the most, and it was about 45 minutes. So yeah, that's really just all the kind of like the basics and the setup with this. But yeah, look, if you just give it a try with angles and things like that. But if you do have a center channel, especially below, if it's below your level, then my thing was just allowing the mic to pick the center channel up perfectly. That's really all it was. That's how I got onto this. Because I saw this video and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Didn't really think much more about it. And just over the last 6 months or so of using, say, Acoustica, and some people even saying in the group, like, I don't think dialogue clarity with Acoustica is as good as it could be. There's something off with the levels. And I've kind of always thought that too. Like the levels seem like slightly low for the center channel compared to my own calibration. So, yeah, since doing that, and so just as well, like AcoustiX now, I've actually got the dialogue clarity back, or levels as well, back to my own calibration levels as well. So the things that you can do in this with this program is insane, and you get so much more freedom than Acoustica. Now, we are using the Audyssey mic, and the Audyssey mic does have errors, specifically from, I think, around 5K and above. Its high-end frequency is really poor. You can hear this as well with certain music. The treble is actually too high, because if it's measuring low, then the EQ will put it high. To show this, I will get onto the calibration, but I just want to kind of prep people like what I've been having to work on for the last 2 weeks. So if you do Audyssey mic, this is Audyssey mic versus a U mic 2. Now the U mic 2 is a very, very good mic. I haven't got any music now, have I? Okay. The Audyssey mic is a very, very good mic, and the first thing I knew from the U mic 1 was high-end detail and snare clarity from around there, again around 5K-ish, was just so much better than a U mic 1. So, what is the difference between a U mic 2 and an Audyssey mic? This is 9 measurements, by the way. So the red is Audyssey, and in all honesty, in all fairness, it's basically measuring the same as a U mic 2. When you do 9, there's a few things here and there, but it's getting all of the bass, all this 100 hertz to maybe 5. There's some minor differences, but they're really not big deals. Like, I consider the Audyssey mic to be good up to 3K. It's actually very good. And again, the more measurements you take, now this was with a MLP measurement as well. This was before I even did 3 points, 3 positions. 3 positions will gather more bass data than this, and potentially could be even more accurate. So compared to a U mic 2, which is an expensive mic, this Audyssey mic is actually doing a really good job. The problem becomes, though, around 3K. Red, again, is the Audyssey mic. You can see it, yeah. Red is the Audyssey mic, and it's measuring lower than a U mic 2. A U mic 2 is basically just flat. It's measuring the speaker. Like, this is the performance of the speaker. Audyssey, though, mic is doing some weird stuff. Now, you can correct this. Let me just show you real quick. I know this is like, probably should be for the end, like the advanced section, but you can do some arithmetic here. U mic is the target. Audyssey mic, and then you put the Audyssey mic second, and then you A over B magnitude division, you generate, and you get this. This is the difference between the two. Then what you do is you pull in the target curve you want to use, and you do the same thing. The target curve is on top, and then you use the A over B magnitude division again, and you see the difference between your target curve and the difference between the mic itself. Then what you do is you would have to blend. There's a blend here. So, or merge. Right, you can merge B to A. So you want to merge this part to your target curve. You don't want all of this. You don't want all this nasty stuff. But you want to merge these two together. And probably, again, around 3 to 4K, you just merge them. So your target curve would be perfect and clean up until this point when it has a little waviness, but it's to counter what the microphone is doing. You can hear this though. When I was playing like certain music like Fleetwood Mac, and I was like, that sounds as though it's got a lot of treble to it. Like, that's more treble than a U mic 2. U mic 2 just sounds completely natural. This is why at the start I was pushing for, can we use Audyssey mic with acoustics? And you can't. Right now, OCA has provided the tools to do it, but it does not understand, or currently it doesn't work with bass. Bass measurements are just completely off. The levels are like completely off on my system. So yeah, it's really, for me, it's actually unusable. So no, it's not that. it is this. So we worked it out, the difference between using the REW method, where you're using your own mic, and an Audyssey mic. The difference in bass, because of a conversion that OCA has to do, is on paper it was like 2.4, something like that. But my subs are 8 dB louder. Like, so for me it was just unusable. Now you can lower the levels yourself, but Audyssey mic versus, no, it's not that one. All right, it doesn't matter now. Anyway, the bass was like 8 dB louder, so it's just, I just couldn't use it. Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, it's not here. Maybe I put it somewhere else. So yeah, that's why I couldn't get the video out, basically. So I wanted to make sure if I'm putting the video out, then I need to know that what I'm doing and the information I'm giving out is actually correct. So for me, it's almost like acoustics was in like open beta for a while. You know, but now it's to the point where I'm like, yeah, we can really do some good work with this now. So I'm just going to download this. I'm going to basically do everything you need to do. So we'll download this. Acoustics, YouTube, let's just rename that. So another thing is this was like only a couple of days ago, where 1.6, which technically is 1.7, 1.7 just had a few bug fixes, so it's basically 1.6. 1.6 was the best sound I've gotten from acoustics, and I'm like, what? This is better than Acoustica now, even with an Audyssey mic. You know, it was like this is better. Then 2.0 came out, and because you could boost other channels, just sounded bad. I reported about it on the Facebook group, and you know, and I'd sent an email to OCA. I was like, I can't do this. You know, so extract all. So it hasn't been plain sailing, like, you know, it just hasn't. All right, that's the file folder. So what would I need? Target curves. So I want to bring my target curve in. Where are my target curves? So we'll do this one and this one. We probably won't need both, but I've got my music one. So if you want to bring a target curve into this folder, you literally just paste it in. Then acoustics will be able to use it. So when the UI comes up, if you want to like get into that far into it, like you can choose what target curves you want to use. There's a bunch in here. I don't really need to use these. Like, there's maybe situationally these could be good. For me personally, I've just found that the curves that I've made are better. One for movies, well, music and movies, that doesn't have a dip in the middle, and then this one that actually does. So, which is mid-range compensation. The music one here actually has mid-range compensation. I found that it doesn't really matter if the crossover from mid-range to treble is in the same area as this. It just simply makes music sound better. I love the sound. Movies again doesn't have that, and the reason you don't want any dips around that area is because that's where dialogue is coming from. You can't destroy dialogue like that. It basically has, it's leaning down, yes, but it's basically flat, and you can't do that to dialogue. So yeah, you can put your target curves in. Let's run it. So run. We need to discover the AVR. What you can do if, this is what I typically do, like, because I download acoustic files all the time. So what you can do though is just come to my old folder here. You could just copy the whole target curve folder, just port it back over. The receiver config here, just copy that and just port everything over. Another thing is obviously my measurements here, 3 positions, 9. So you can copy this, you can copy the receiver config, everything just into your new folder. So that's just the easiest thing for me to do. But for the video we'll show, so replace AVR configuration, AcoustiX YouTube, deletes the current config and starts discovery. I think that's what we need to do. Yeah. I don't know if it's remembering from an old time, but typically you should have to discover the AVR first. So mine is the Denon A1H. It's found. Whether it's actually just going to pick that though, I don't know. Have we found a bug? I mean, I can get over this. I can put my old one in, but I think we will. So if you just grab the old one, copy, put it in here, then it knows now. It knows the IP, it knows the model, it knows that you have 2 subs, the amp assignment is free, and then it will list all of your speakers here. That should have worked though, so that can come off now. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Sometimes it can be like network things going on, like UPnP stuff going on. Sometimes like it might just be better to restart your modem. It could be best to restart your receiver as well, just in case there's some weird network stuff going on. It was aware of it, it's just like the program was hanging, so. So let's come down here. You can use the arrow keys if you have numlock on. I think it's numlock on, to like see what to do. So there's really only 2 options here, and that is to optimize with the browser, or you actually have to measure the mic positions. So let's measure with the mic. So number of positions is 1. We're just going to do 1 today. So press enter. Number of repeats, also 1. So we're just going to do a quick measure today, but this should give you an idea of like how it works. Just another thing as well, if you are taking measurements from MLP, it will do all of the MLP measurements first, main listening position first. Then the program will actually stop and say, please move your mic to the 2nd position. Then you can start it again, and things like that. So we're just going to do 1. Okay, AVR is responsive. It knows that it has a microphone in. So this got added maybe 5-6 days ago. Really nice tool. Basically, you can tell whether the microphone is centered, and you can also tell what you can tell if the toe-in is the same from each speaker, from the left and the right. So let's just, I haven't got my mic in a perfect position, but let's just see what it looks like. See if it actually works. So it's playing a sweep from the front left. And now it's doing the front right. And it's going to give you some information, basically, you know, angles and okay. So it says here, microphone is reasonably centered. It is 12 milliseconds closer to the left. Okay, so in this situation, though it is very, very small, right, I would do whatever you can initially to get this as close to the single digits as possible. And this, it says toe-in angles appear to be well matched. The front left is a tiny bit off axis compared to the front left. This will change though when you move the mic. So my toe-in angles are basically perfect. Do I have an image of this? So this is what I did when I went pretty heavy into it. The difference is negligible at this point. 2 millimeters closer to the right is... I couldn't even touch the speaker without that distance just changing. Once you get to this level, it's like, all right, it's centered. The toe-in angles, this is below 1, right? This is 0.8. So, or 0.08. And I went a little heavy with this to make sure, look, I want this as low as possible. So, and the angles, it actually helped me get my angles correct. So, yeah, I'm very happy with that. It's good. It's a really nice tool. So, right, do you want to reposition the mic and run it again, though? Alright, so there will be a 15-second countdown before the sweep begins. It's interesting because I don't know if it was just me, but I found that because when I was using this, you could choose how long the delay should be. I was actually picking 15 seconds. For some reason, I just don't like the system going right away. I want there to be some delay anyway. So press continue. And there's just going to be a 15-second delay. That for me is the best thing to do anyway. So the fact that it does it automatically is great. But yeah, if you were in the room, you can now get out. Okay, so it's doing sweeps for front left. Okay, and it gives you all sorts of information here. Now, when you're measuring nine different times, it will say how many times, like if some of the measurements got kicked out because noise floor or whatever reasons. My recent measurements, I didn't have any kicked out. The only thing I did is this software is actually aware of when there is drift in the sweeps themselves from these receivers. And I think my front height, left or right, there was drift going on for like 1 or 2 of the measurements. So it kicked those out, but the rest of them were okay. So, yeah. Now, it says the center is negative inverted. Now, I tend to leave that. My center channel is in, I'm not going to call it a cabinet, but it's like, I don't even know what you call it, so, but it is inside something, so I think that, well, the surround back left actually is, that wasn't true before, and here, so that's interesting. Whether some things have changed, but I think this one is the center. It does it all the time, no matter what. Is because if it's inside any type of cabinet, it could cause resonance and delays to the bass area. I think it's like maybe something like that. Whether this improves if you plug the ports on the back of your speaker, I'm not sure. It could, because I think some of this is there. Interestingly enough, my surround back left and surround back right are actually kind of a little too close to the wall. Other than that, like it says here, if you have measured them, not measured them, but wired them correctly, you can avoid it. You can just like ignore the message. But it's giving you like, you know, peak to silence ratio. Like this is significantly different to this. So maybe there's some things at the minute going on with the room, causing some of these levels to be a little higher than they should. But when I was doing this like properly, my levels were in the 40s, like this peak silence ratio. So, and that's it. It just goes through all the speakers once, and it just gives you this file in the folder now. The things instantly go to the folder, and it tells you what they were. Thankfully, it does tell you what they were. One position, one rep, right? So, and that's really it. That's it's not difficult, but again, if you are now measuring multiple positions and say 9 times, I do advise 9 times, because if you can get good measurements right now, you really don't need to measure again. So it is slightly annoying, it takes some time to do, but I strongly advise just taking lots of measurements, and if you want to do different positions, do that too. It might take, I mean, if you're doing more than 3, let's just say you did 8 and you did 9 per, that's going to be an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours doing that, just getting the measurements themselves. But this really is the most important thing. Like that's it. What can you do without good measurements? You really can't do anything. If you know, it's the most important thing, because you can learn how to use the software after. Now, just for the sake of the video, so that's really that. You can press enter here, and you come back down to this main menu here. But we can X out of this. Now this, again, just for the video, I will remove these, and I will pull in mine. Acoustics 2.1. Did I? Yeah, I did. So this is my 3. Now I only use this top one. I'm not sure why the bottom one's there, but I'll copy it. And you can just put it into this folder from a previous measurement. So that's again what I do. If there's been an update for acoustics, I pull everything into the new folder, and then let it run. So yeah, that's it. So again, measurements, they're the most important thing. If you want perfect bass levels, hopefully it might give you more information about the actual levels themselves too. If you're like me though, that I've always thought that the levels with say Acoustica and even acoustics are a little like, they're not the way you would calibrate. The levels are just not really what you would do. Now again, this is fine that OCA uses this method to try and work out the balance of speakers, but it's an uphill battle if you do not EQ, because acoustics by default with just express settings, which is just the standard settings, doesn't, I think it might EQ to about 300 Hertz. So it just does bass. So if you've got errors in your speakers by 4 dB, acoustics is going to do its best to try and balance these channels, but they're not going to be balanced. Now, yeah, I don't have it here. I'll show you in a sec. The problems with the balancing. Not the balancing, but it's it's the speakers themselves. I use my front 3 with the center channel as well are from SVS, and all of my other speakers are from ELAC. They're the Unify models. And the reason I found that this combination worked well is, well, one, I couldn't afford the new models from SVS. They actually, like, to get all the pairs, it's like 4 pairs, it's actually really expensive. I want them. They have better directionality. They'd be perfect for my system, but for now, because they are, I consider everything that is not the front three an effects channel that can be fixed with EQ anyway. So for me, I wasn't really bothered about upgrading. I am bothered. I mean, obviously I want my system to sound as good as it can, but when it with money, when it makes sense, you know, like right now, it's just in a year, maybe two, you know, we'll see. It's the same with the subs. Like I want 2 more subs. I have 2 Monolith THX subs, but it's just not right now. You know, it's down the road. I'm fine with waiting for something and saving up for something, you know, and it taking time, because it means more when you actually get them. So, but then my goal right now is to make this system, what I have, sound as good as it can. So, okay, so yeah, let's open this again. Right, now we have things in here. It's aware of what's in here. So what I do is come down to the 4th one, down the bottom here, and it says optimize measured system with custom settings. This will open the browser, and you can essentially now configure your own system the way you want. So REW isn't running, it will open it for you. I actually prefer AcoustiX, this menu actually opening it, because it makes sure the API servers are on. So, okay, so yeah. Then it will say again what file to use. Again, it always defaults to the top one, which is the 3 positions and 9 reps. This might just be a backup, but I've always used this one, so I would always use the one that has this how many reps, how many positions was on it. So you press enter, and now we get this. So I think what we'll do though is zoom in. Now, just before we do though, it is organized. This page is organized into, this is the target curve, these are the crossovers, these are the crossovers for how much bass goes in. You know, it is organized in a nice way now. It actually wasn't before. So, but anyway, I will zoom in just so you can really see this. Now let's do that. So, yeah, okay. So the first thing is the target curve. This gets pulled from the folder. This gets pulled from this folder. Whatever is in there will appear here. Right, all of these target curves will appear here. And here are mine, Carl Movie and Carl Standard Music Curve. So I'll pull that in and you can see it. So it's basically a Harman bass rise, but slightly different. I've tuned it to like remove boominess around this area, but you still have the pretty high bass rise. What's that? 6.8. You have the mid-range compensation dip there, and this boost here it's actually a boost at 12K, is just for like brilliance, cymbals and things like that. This won't touch harshness. Harshness is here, and to be honest, anywhere around here is actually harshness. So yeah, that's really just the music curve. So you can choose to use double bass, which is LFE plus main, which basically means that the subwoofer and your mains will be playing bass together. MIMO, which is I think similar to Dirac processing, basically does the same thing. You have to use this. And I tried to explain to people like why you would use this, like on the Facebook group, and I don't think some of them understood. So there's a couple of systems where I think this could really benefit. It's not mine. I would say it's not mid-range systems at all. Mid-range to high-end. Well, it depends how high-end you mean high-end. If we consider high-end something like Audiophile's, Gene from Audiophile's, it could actually work for his system. The reason it could work for his system is because his subs are essentially in his speakers, right? He has subwoofers in his actual speakers. I think they might be, they're anywhere from 12 to 16s, I think. They could even be 18s. But he also has subwoofers that are the same power and they might not be the same brand, but they're the same power and they're the same size. So in this situation, double bass and MIMO processing will work, and it probably will sound better than just LFE mode, which I would use, because what you're doing now is you're gaining more woofers. You're freely almost gaining more woofers, more subwoofers, which is just going to make bass sound better, smoother, and there's more positions where the bass is coming from. So again, if you could get more subwoofers without actually buying more, this is great. But again, that's a high-end system, really high-end, where things will be matched in that way. Like, imagine if you had literally matching subwoofers and the subwoofers in the speakers themselves were actually matched. Like, this system is going to sound excellent then. This will tip it over. I assume it should tip it over to be actually better than what we have now, or what I use. There is another system where this could work as well, which is actually a budget system, where I have seen them. I think Monolith actually do them. Monolith. I think they have some budget systems where the woofers are like 8 inches, and they have like mini subs too that are also 8 inches. So they're like kind of satellite speakers that are 8 inches, like these boxes, but then the woofer itself actually matches it. So again, at that point, you're just gaining more woofers and you're able to take advantage of this type of system. The mid-range people, though, like me, is where it really, in my opinion, provides no benefit. My subs are, I think the passive rating on my subs are 2,000 watts. The peak is like nearly 4,000, I think it's 3,800. My SVS speakers are 300 watts. Yeah, sure, they have 4 10-inch or 8-inch, say that 10-inch or 8-inch woofers in them. But if the woofers don't match, if the woofers in the subwoofer doesn't match the woofers in the speakers, from my experience, it doesn't sound good. Again, if you can have matching woofers, then both of these could work. Me personally, while I was testing again, I found that anywhere from 120 to 80 hertz is where you want to be. This is really again where it crosses over from sub and speaker, where this is really where the sub now stops playing, and it passes off into the speaker. Now you could have things here where after 80 hertz, say on your speakers, there's dips. So you could really benefit here from around 120. My issue again here is localization. If I hear where that bass is coming from, no. Oh, and that's another thing. Measuring, one thing I found is that measuring more than one position, more than the MLP, so to the left and to the right, so 3 measurements, I found that the bass detail around here, around crossover level, is actually even more pronounced. So that is actually, because at first I was like, whoa, am I going to have to go to 70 hertz? But I actually kind of gotten used to that sound now. It's just more, again, it's just more detailed. So we're not going to use this. But yes, there's situations and certain setups which is going to sound better. Mine, it doesn't. here's one thing as well, is I lose bass with this on. The tightness in bass goes, and the actual levels aren't as good. So yes, I have the flagship SVS speakers, but it just, with this configuration, my configuration doesn't work that way. That my subs are borderline obscenely powerful compared to the mains, that this just doesn't work. Bass is simply better coming out of my subs, and that's been the case, to be honest, that's been the case for a while. So these kind of like mid-range up to, I guess, upper mid-range systems, it's always going to sound better this way. If your subs are, peak power around like the SVS subs, the high-end ones, 4,000 watts, maybe even 5,000 watts, I don't even know if you can buy speakers that can match that. Unless, again, now the ultra high-end, where they've got subs in them themselves, that match. So yeah, it's just something I can't do, but I know people could benefit from that. Now this has just been changed. This now is just for the subwoofer. This is the amount of EQ gain. Like if you've got some dips in your subwoofer, you shouldn't need any more than 6 dB, and if you do need more than 6 dB, it's something you don't want to correct anyway. That's generally what I've found. This can increase the strength of that sound, though, of the subs themselves. So there could be a little bit of compromise here about how much do you want to boost. You could test this, like, though it would require some work here to keep coming into this menu, make one at 6 dB, at 5, at 4, at 3. Oh, at 3 I've lost that punch. Maybe. Maybe you got to find out what's good for you. 6 works good for me. I mean, Move is just to have incredible impact. There are a few things that in the response that I have with the subs, it does need to clean up. And I think plus 6 dB boost is really good. Low pass filter for LFE is 120 Hz. This is one you can freely change on the receiver after, if for some reason what LFE low pass filter for LFE at 120 Hz is what is used in the mastering studios, and it's what's used as the default for basically every single receiver. Some receivers won't even allow you to change this. Not Denon and Marantz, but some won't, and I don't think you need to ever change this, because if you put this to 150, the roll-off is now not in the same position. You could even potentially start localizing this. This at 250 is just bad. You put a Christopher Nolan movie on it, it's horrible. There's too much. So for me, 120 is always the best thing to do. You can force the system to keep the polarity that it was measured at. There were situations with Acoustica where it was inverting the polarity of the subs. I think this was due to timing. But one thing as well now is that AcoustiX is very aware that the model that I have, the Denon A1H, is capable of 18 meters, and it will use the full 18 meters if it needs to make sure these subs are timed correctly with the mains. So I only time the subwoofer with the mains. I don't do it with the center, the surround, or the Atmos channels. You can. Downstairs, I actually have a setup with Acoustica where I timed the front 3 together, because that's all I had. And I found that it did work. I found it did work really good. Generally speaking, though, I wouldn't do that, because if you do listen to a lot of stereo music like I do, some of the timing differences will go to the center channel. Like, you can imagine this as timing average. If this was, say, let's just call it 6 meters. If this was 6 meters and this was 6.5, now the alignment of the sub will be somewhere potentially in the middle of that, and when you listen to stereo music, it actually hinders the performance because you're only listening out of these. On my system, aligning the subs to the front mains is the best thing to do. I could see how it works maybe for some things. If you're very closely aligned in distance, and it's really not going to affect things too much, it could work. But then if you're closely aligned anyway, then you don't need to do it either. So I don't know. I would just keep this aligned to the front. Crossovers. You can change the crossovers for all of the channels. Now, a generically safe setup, you could do search range is essentially for all of the speakers is 80 Hertz to 120. I will give you that. That's about as far as I go though. Me personally, I lock in at 80 Hertz. Every single speaker gets locked in at 80 Hertz because if I hear bass coming out of the subs, if I can place bass coming out of subs, it's bad. It just doesn't sound good at all. It sounds to me like a Best Buy demo room. I do joke about that a lot, but to me it sounds like a system that is tuned incredibly poorly, and the person setting it up has no idea what they're doing. Like if I can hear, like if you could hear dialogue coming out of like the subs or something like that, it's just bad. So no. I think I haven't tried 70 Hertz. I mean, I should, but to me, 80 Hertz, again, for music, everything, it just sounds perfect. So I can't hear where things are coming from. It makes music sound great. So 80 Hertz for me. Not using these, like the fronts as well as full range. Even though I have a very powerful Denon receiver, the Denon A1H, you're still power saving. This is power saving. You're not running your mains or any of your speakers at full range. It's only like the power really comes from 80 Hertz and below, and you're offsetting that all into your subs. It's just, even at loud volume, it's just a much better thing to do as well. You're just going to get a less distortion-free sound by using crossovers at least 80 Hertz. I wouldn't go below. 70 maybe. But I found that 60 doesn't sound, even 60 doesn't sound good. Some people are doing it in the 40s. I wouldn't do that. No. Music's not going to sound the way I want it to sound now. So 80 Hertz is best for me. I don't need to check this for the polarity because AcoustiX actually works out the correct things going on here. So as you could boost the subwoofer, you can now choose to boost the mains or the center. Or you don't like boosting the center, but I know the surrounds need a little, like plus 3 dB. Maybe the Atmos ones do as well. Actually, no, they don't. But I'm just giving you an example of things that you could do. Also, because now this is split, you can choose, hey, this is what you boost the subwoofer by, this is what you boost speakers by. Again, you could have situations where this is now actual meaningful change to get you up to the target curve. Like my surrounds do struggle to get to the target curve. You could use some boosting. I don't. And I don't use any boosting on the channels. I listened to a movie the other night. It was actually the original Avatar. Because this wasn't split, because I was boosting, say, 6 dB on the subs, but it was also boosting on these channels, and I had no way to change it. So I just had to contact OCA. I was like, can you split these? So you have a choice for the sub boost and you have a choice for the speaker boost. this is one of the best changes that's been made recently, and it's pretty much fixed all of my problems with it. Now, it wasn't boosting before, so this change got added, and literally within 12 hours it was fixed. So I wouldn't boost any of the main channels. You shouldn't need to. Now, because you're not doing that, because you're not boosting anywhere, especially the center channel, and again, I always talk about the center channel because if you start boosting the center channel, for some reason, it's not male voices, it's actually female voices. They leave a tone under them and it resonates. It may not even resonate the speaker itself, it's just the sound it makes. So I wouldn't do it. So here's what I've been doing since I've been experimenting with this. Now, this is the default. You can just leave the defaults here and it will work completely fine. Essentially what this means is there will be no boosting on the channels, any of them, and the cutoff for this EQ is 200, 225, 225, 225 for the others. So the fronts get 200. This is where the EQ actually cuts off with no boosts. So it will pull, if things are being, you've got peaks, it'll pull everything down. But what I do is actually I continue this to 500 hertz. Every speaker here is max EQ is 500 hertz. So I know up to 500 hertz there will be no boosting whatsoever. And it will balance this as I want it to. For me, that's worked the best. There are some more settings here that I will go into. I'm going to have to go into again to really show you what they're doing. Maybe even 3 times, like to actually really show you what they're doing. But we'll move on. Now that we're kind of explaining these, I won't linger on these for much more. So you can, we'll put this on. You can re-level everything. So I did see somebody say this in the Facebook group the other day, that they said that balance for OCA's softwares hasn't been good since Neuron, since this one. And some of the responses were, oh, it's because there's something wrong, you haven't set something up correctly. Not necessarily. See, when I read things, I'm like, I understand that this could be a problem. I can actually prove it in here why it's a problem as well. I'll do it maybe after. But with this being on, when you press start optimization, you'll get some more things. Now, some options like for you to actually choose while the calibration's happening itself. Now, add custom filters is your own EQ, right? If you want to apply, you can always look at tooltips, typically, here, to say what they do. This essentially puts custom filters on reference mode, and it replaces the night mode or low level listening settings that would typically be here. Typically, as well, you can choose the night mode. Excuse me. You can choose how much bass goes into it for the night mode. Initially, when I first started using this, because I didn't really know how the EQ filters or anything worked, I put the bass to basically 0. What I'd like is to be able to put this to the actual 0, but 0.5 doesn't really do anything. And I put, I think I just kept it there at 2.4. It was too strong, but I was like, So I bet, like, without doing any of this configuration, that some people are actually using this and putting their music and things like this on reference, and using this as a little bit of a way to control and dial things in without doing this kind of other work into custom EQ. But you can get much better sound with the custom filters now anyway. So, but this was now if you have bass shakers, I don't, in your seats, you can configure them. Do you have to turn that off? I don't know. But you can configure them for this. Maybe it's just wasn't aware that I have them, so, or don't have them. You can also time align things. This is interesting. You know, you shouldn't need this. But there could be situations where you actually look at the results and say, look, this actually is misaligned. OCA made the example that a lot of the Dolby Atmos up-firing speakers do this because it is essentially reflected sound. Some of the sound, I mean, most of the sound hopefully will be reflected, but you could also be reflecting off of the walls before the ceiling. So it can definitely cause misalignments. This is really nice though. Like, again, at this point we have basically all of the control that you would need to fully EQ a system in the palm of our own hands. This level of control is much better than Acoustica. Acoustica, you could really, I mean, yeah, there's other things you could change. Like, you could change a lot of this stuff. The big one for me is the leveling. Essentially what this allows you to do is you can completely re-level your system based on how you think your system should be balanced, not the leveling system in acoustics. None of that. You can actually level it yourselves. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But let's just go through a regular. Let's just go through a standard, like, plus 6 dB boost, 80 Hertz locked-in speakers, no MIMO, no LFE plus main, but we can. I'm doing this just to show you the interactive volume leveling. This is of the target curve and of your subs, and you can put some custom filters in as well. So let's press start. This is pretty usual to see. Acoustica was the same, where you had this web interface to EQ your speakers with. It's time aligning everything. It's working out the slopes for the speakers. Now, I wonder if I could show this. Would it show here? I wonder. If I change the level to, say, 70, this target curve, this orange here, should come down. Yeah, it does. So, you can cancel this, which I probably will, because I can't actually remember what the level was. Well, does it show? No. All right. But yeah, you can. Yeah, I think I should just cancel this. What will be 74 maybe? But yeah, you can rebalance this yourselves. So I don't really advise doing it if you're not doing a full range EQ. If you are doing a full range EQ, you can get far better results than this target level. So let's cancel this. Cancel. And it just continues. There's a reason why as well. Oh, it's 75.1. Okay. So somehow killed my music. Okay. So 75.1. I will show you why choosing this level is problematic for. Now, also, you can lower the sub-system level itself. So, which you could do before. You could individually choose which subs you lower and things like that. Now, I wonder if you can show this. So, if you can see that's coming down. So, like say -10. Yeah, very small here, but you can see you can just lower the subs. Both of this applies to both subs by -10. Put it back to 0. You can cancel this as well. So this is like interactive. You can see it happen in here. If you know that every single time I need these subs lowered by -4, say, you could. The problem with doing this though is, let's say the levels were correct when you play music, but you wanted the 0.1 channel lowered. There's another way you can do that in the audio section on a Marantz remote. So you can actually lower specific 0.1 channel there. So cancel that, because we don't want to do it. It actually says here, yeah, audio, surround parameters, and LFE volume. LFE is probably the most problematic thing with surround sound setups, because the bass is 10 dB louder than normal. So, you know, with a Harman curve, that's really strong. Really, really strong. So look at this, the subwoofer distance is 32 feet. That's how much delay is in this system, but because we're using the Denon A1H, it's allowed to do this 18 meter thing now. So, which is really nice. So it's just making filters for all of the speakers, which is really just the negative EQ that I've got set up to 500 Hertz now. So, all right, so now we can add custom filters, which would be put on reference. So it says here, use REWEQ to add your own custom filters for any speakers. You can even do the subs. Like, let's just say, look, there's just some things missing from acoustics that it just doesn't do the bass right. It just needs this little touch, and then it fixes it. You can fix it yourself. I haven't found that I need to with the subs. They will be added to reference mode, and even so, you can use reference mode as a test ground for creating new EQ methods. And when you switch to flat, the original, the original filters that OCA makes, and balance everything up to 500 Hertz, they will be in place. So you can kind of switch between the two and just see what actually sounds better. So one thing I will say though is, if you have a center channel like mine where there's certain points of it around dialogue area that is lifted, sometimes you can switch to flat and it's like, whoa, the dialogue is a lot more pronounced now. But it depends on what you were doing in reference or with your own filters to make it sound a particular way. The center channel though specifically as well, you could even put your own some extra filtering in to make sure that the centered speaker sounds a particular way. That may be the case for this method, but when doing my full EQ, I haven't found that to be a problem at all. Once it's actually EQ'd properly. So it says here, please switch to REW to all SPL, which you don't need to do. Right-click any of the responses labeled final. So an example of this is the FL final. So C final, FR final, all of those. And essentially you EQ it. Any information in these EQ sections will then be applied to reference. When you send a calibration to the receiver though, the receiver always defaults, and this is probably a choice from OCA because you can do this in the Multi-EQX app too, it will default to flat. So if you're like, oh, I've done this EQ and it just still doesn't quite sound right, yeah, it's because it's still on flat. So you will always have to remember to switch it back to reference. Add your desired filters. You can repeat these steps for other channels. So that's another thing. If you wanted to, you could run different target curves for the center channel. You could run a different target curve for the surrounds. The bass target curve I wouldn't change, but if you wanted to blend it to another target curve where, say, the center channel from say 1 2K was just at a slight rise to around 8K, which is dialogue area. Just a slight lift. You could do that. OCA gave examples of specific areas. I think it was 2,000 hertz and 5,000 hertz for dialogue, which you might need to do. Again, it depending on your situation. Let's go into this. So I actually don't do it in all SPL because you have to right click, then go and EQ. I actually just didn't like it. What I do is go to all SPL or phase, SPL and phase. And it's actually easy to see the ones that I need to use. So basically, anything with a final on it here is what you need to use. The reason why I found it easier on here is because everything that FL final, you go every other one, right? Every other one is with the one you click, but also in my mind, just to keep things simple, is anything with text below it, trace arithmetic A times B, A equals vector sum, is on every single final. C final, front height left, front height right. It's all on here. So it's like, for me, it's just I know it's every other one, and I know it's everything with text on it. I just found it easier to do it that way rather than right clicking, getting in. It just, sometimes you right click and then it's like rename and then you kind of press it wrong. I personally just found it easier this way. So what I do is I line up, so FL is the first speaker. So I just line it up there, click here, then go into the EQ section. Now, I'm about to show you the problems with the target level, and not so much a problem with acoustics, but just this is why people have found that there's problems with this, right? So, the target level is 75.1? 75.2. The target level is based off of the front left speaker. In my system, the front left speaker is the loudest speaker. It is louder than the center. Obviously the front right is the same, but all of the speakers then need to be picked up to that level. As you can see here as well, if you're basing the target level off of the front left, it's really all over the place. And there's a lift as well at, say, 2K. So trying to judge, let's do this. Clear traces. Let's actually look at the finals, right? So front left final versus, say, front height right. Oh, that's a filter, sorry. Front height right. Now they look balanced, and they are, but there could be other situations where, again, they do look balanced from an SPL point of view, but this speaker has 76, 71. That's 5 dB. This is 5 dB's worth of difference. And when let's have a look at the center channel. Center final. When you get this lifted here from another speaker and it's based off of that, sometimes things just, for me, it just doesn't sound correct. This way, for me, the balance, even though, look, it's done as well as it can be with acoustics, and I think OCA is using the very best thing to determine its actual levels. But because we are at this level, it's determined that this is the level. Front left. even EQing the speaker becomes difficult. If you see, most of the response is under the actual target level because of how it's worked out. Now I use configurable PEQ. Let's show that. The reason I do that is because I have multi-EQX here, I can see exactly how the filters work in Audyssey. So OCA says 20 filters, that's fine. To be honest, there's actually no limit to the amount of filters that multi-EQX can use, but there could potentially be a limit for OCA, I don't know. But I put it as 20. The range, I put 20 to 24K. Don't worry about this. It's just, we can control it in this part of our EW anyway, to control where we should EQ. So don't actually worry about this. So I just so there isn't any confusion with two systems trying to work things out, I just put it 20 to 24K. The step is 1 Hz apart. I don't think, no, you can't go any further than that. So you can only EQ things 1 Hz apart. You can't do 1 point something. You can't do that. Now I've put the negative values to be -6. So this is the EQ values, right? So you can use -6 EQ if you wanted to, but you can also boost by +3. I've just set this in here just as a generic for now. I've never needed more than -6 anyway. And again, the positive boosting, you don't have to do it. I've just got it set here as like, this is generally how I want it set up. And again, the dB range is 0.1. It is symmetric Q, which is exactly what multi-EQX and Audyssey actually use. This is an interesting one. With Audyssey, you can't start with the Qs itself. You can't start with a Q lower than 0.11. It won't, for some reason, allow it. That's just Audyssey. So what you can do here is you can put 0.11 to 20. Right, so 20 is very sharp cuts, 1 is very smooth and easy cuts, or boosts or whatever. But this is the range. Typically, again, you don't even need 20. I think Audyssey actually recommend 10. So even this is too much, but we never go above that anyway. And again, the steps with a Q, the cuts and things like that, is 0.01. So this is essentially what I've done is, here you can choose your EQs, right, for systems like a mini DSP, you know, a Behringer and things like that. Well, Audyssey doesn't exist on here. So in the configurable PEQ, you can make, this is Audyssey now. This is exactly how Audyssey EQs its system. So that's what I've done in there. Now this has to be switched and changed for every single one. It is annoying, but that's what I've done. So the channel level is 75.2. So one thing as well is when generic is picked, high and low shelf, like down here, can be picked. But when you have configurable PEQ like this, those get de-highlighted. Yeah, you can't select them anymore. So what I've done is I've actually here these settings still apply, so they are part of this. But you can really dial things in how you want it here as well. Flatness target is 1, which means the EQ will get as close to things as possible. Allow narrow filters below 200. We're not really EQing below that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now you can vary the max Q. Essentially what that means is it's almost like it's a dynamic Q. that uses more Q the lower you go, and when you go high it uses less Q. This is another great option if you don't particularly, if you feel if you feel as though you are over EQing your speakers, you can do this. This is essentially dynamic Q, and it just lightens the amount of EQ. Now I found that it didn't do things that I wanted it to do, so I unchecked it, and that's it. Alright, so I'm going to show you the problem with the target level that AcoustiX has put in. So match response to target, right? We're going to EQ the speaker. Well, it's only put 4 filters in. There's parts of the target that are below, the parts of the response that is below the target, and here where you get that kind of semblance, there's nothing going on here. Now, it was probably doing this also, something like this with Acoustica, and though Acoustica for me did overall sound better with all pass filters and everything like that, the way I had it dialed in, there are certain things also about complete manual EQ and measurements that even Acoustica just couldn't do. So I was really like kind of racking my brain, like, look, even when I put these filters in, so it's a -5, -5, -2, right? They're the filters that it's doing to bring this down. Now you can say use some boosts, okay. Well, let's do +3 here, +3 here. Does it change much? Not really. It may add a boost somewhere. 1 there, +2. That's like right here. That's just like, and again, now we're, so how am I supposed to EQ this? Am I just left with this speaker sounding this way? And again, for those people that are, look, the balance just is not right, right? It's just not right. So you can now switch to reference, say make these changes. You can do these for all the different speakers. And in my opinion, you've got an EQ that just doesn't sound a great deal different from the standard. It's maybe just took down some peaks. But let's say you were finished with this and confirm. That's it. All of the filters that you made, that I only made one for the front left, but they get applied to all of the channels on reference. Again, flat is completely OCA's calibration. What was it called? Express. It's just an express, quick and easy calibration. Generally, OCA thinks that sounds the best, but if you have speakers that are like doing this, and you've got other speakers doing this, and you're trying to balance that, this program does the best it can, but for me it still doesn't sound good. It's not where I want it to be. So I will show you now how I calibrate and how I have got the balance and tonality completely fixed, as well as I could do it with by myself. And it does involve the target curve. So, well, let's start again. Let me just see what's. So these are the results of our calibration. Now, what I do is I rename these. YouTube demo 1. Rename YouTube demo 1. Oh, no. YouTube demo 1 results. The measurements right now I'm going to delete. because every time you do one, it gives you the measurements anyway. So, but pretty much this is how my folders look. Like my folders, where's the good one? 2.1. So movies, results, movies. So this is the log. This is the actual OCA file. Music results. This is the actual results, the full EQ, everything. So you can kind of go back and think, how did I do this? Oh, I EQ'd it in that way. You can actually check all the EQs to the speakers. These are the logs, so you can have a look at the logs. Oh, what was it doing here? Why does it sound this way? You can check with the logs, and that's the music one. So I have one for movies, one for music, and that's just how now I set my... If you did one with MIMO filters and LFE plus main, I would call it probably LFE plus main music or LFE plus main movies, just so you know, or things like that. So I just like to be organized like this. I need to know what I'm uploading to my receiver. So yeah, this is it. So let's do another one. Let's do another one the way I could show you quickly, but I don't want to go too long on this video. Let me explain it real quick. If you lower the target curve by say 10 dB, just as a test, right? And you didn't apply EQ to that, you would lower the target curve, and the EQ limits, I think for the default were 220 and maybe 225 for the other speakers. It would pull everything down. All of the bass would get pulled down to that target level, but the rest of the speaker would just be up here. So initially I thought changing the target level was actually bait. I was like, I'm getting baited here to make a really bad mistake. You can only change the target levels, in my opinion, if you absolutely know why you're doing it, and you say, well, look, I love this setup, but the bass for both music and for movies is just call it 2 dB. You can actually lower the target curve by 2 dB, and it would fix all of the bass levels, and the dialogue and everything would just be at the normal level of essentially 2 dB higher. So you can actually create a tilt with the target curve and from bass to treble if you wanted to, because when you change the target level, it doesn't change the levels for the other speakers. Now, in many ways, I'm actually thankful it doesn't do this, because it's allowed me to use a brand new EQ method of doing this, which I'll show you now. So be careful what you do with the target levels, because it's only bringing down the bass. That's all it's doing. The bass levels will be whatever the target level is. So let's start again. Yep. Once I found this method, I was like, bang, that's it. It's probably better than Acoustica. And now, hearing it now for 2-3 days, it is better than Acoustica, even though it's using an Audyssey mic. But I haven't fixed the treble yet. Something I can do. But for the music I've been testing, the music, like drum and bass, is not audiophile music, so it doesn't have that like precision of treble and things like that. So I've been listening to it, and it just sounds incredible. It sounds absolutely excellent. All right, so again, we're going to use our 3 positions, 9 reps. And here we go again. Let's do one for movies, right? So again, this is my movies target curve for now. I actually really like this. It does give music can sound just better like this. And again, there's no harshness or anything like that. Dialogue is flat. Slightly tapered down, but it is flat. We got the Harman curve here with it slightly tapered before it goes directly up, again to stop boominess. We are going to use a boost on the sub by 6, because to me that sounds the best. Very impactful. We're going to use 80 Hertz. We're just going to lock everything into 80 Hertz. Sounds the best, guys, come on. I would love for you to demo me a system that sounds better with higher crossovers, and it truly does sound better. Yeah, for me though, no. So we're not going to boost again on any of the channels. I don't want any boosting going on the main speakers whatsoever. I'm going to EQ all the way up to 500 Hertz in the bass areas. So basically I'm allowing acoustics to take care of all of my bass problems up to 500 Hertz. There's really no need for me to do it if I don't need to do it, and I think it does a very good job of doing it anyway. So it's probably using A over B magnitude division anyway, and inverting the response, I assume. You potentially get more resolution from doing this in the bass areas from 500 Hertz or below anyway. But EQ filters above 500 Hertz, there's no problems. They're sharp enough, they're more than adequate to deal with those frequencies. So, alright, that's everything done here. No MIMO. We're going to line to that, to the mains. No boosts, up to 500. Okay, now we are going to use interactive volume leveling mode, and I'll show you how I use it. And we're also going to use EQ. That knocks out night mode. We don't need to time because AcoustiX already does an incredible job of timing on my system. I've seen it. It's just the results are excellent. There's just no need to do it. So that's it. 80 Hertz plus 6 dB up to 500 Hertz, and we're going to change. We are now we are not allowing acoustics to find the target levels for us. We're going to do it ourselves, because even though OCA does joke about this, he was like kind of joking about like full range EQ and hey, you know better, right? It's not that I know better. It's just that I've personally found another method that works better for me while EQing. If I wasn't EQing, I don't need to use this, right? But while EQing, I found that to get much better EQ and a much better sound. It's just much better. It's better than Acoustica. It's better than all of that by using these two. Right. As you've seen before, it only uses about 4 filters because it just brings peaks down. Right? That's fine. But the tonality of my speaker is gone. I want it to sound. I want my speaker to sound like the target curve that I made. That's why I'm doing this. And there's only so far you could go with Acoustica, and there was really only so far you could go with this until I woke up one night in a cold sweat at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I know how to fix the problem. I know how to fix the problem. So all of these people, again, that are having dialogue, potential issues, and the balance just doesn't seem to be right, this fixes it. So start optimization. And I'll show you how, once I found this, I was like, this calibration software, AcoustiX, is the best. It gives me everything that I need to achieve the goals. Now, there are some, all right, so now here's what I do. So the target level is 74. It's actually slightly different to the music one. And again, it's because the target is, whenever a response is different in the target level compared to what you're measuring it with will be lower or higher. So I was like, well, should I just lower this by 5 dB? Maybe EQ it and we'll see what it sounds like. I randomly did that on my single measurement on day 1 or 2. And I was like, this actually sounds really good. then I didn't know, like, kind of like the big picture of it all, though, like what's happening with the target curve. Why does it sound so much better? I didn't know until I woke up in a cold sweat that one night. So this is the method. Target curve is currently this. Actually, let's go to this one. So what do we actually have here? So currently we just have our measurements put into REW. Right. I think I actually do it after. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do it again. So yeah, this is a little bit of a problem, because the ordering in which this target level comes is I need knowledge of certain things after calibration, of levels after calibration, where they are with the bass, and I actually can't work out the target level now. So I'm just going to confirm this, and we're just going to go through this again. So it's 74.8. Oh, I know why the sound is going off, because this is requiring so much CPU power. Hopefully the video is okay, not jittery. Okay, that's fine. We don't want to adjust this right now. Okay, I knew there was 3 times that I had to show you, and I was like, well, why do I need to show them 3? Surely I can just get into this. This is why. So I need to see how the system is with the target levels after AcoustiX has balanced it. Then I get a lot more information about, oh, this should be my target level. So yeah, we're just gonna have to go through this again. This obviously is for the really advanced people, like that really want to get a specific sound, and this is some of the things it requires. What I did is wrote down my target level here. I just put it on a notepad, 71 target level. So when I'm doing this, I know that's rounded down. I think it's like 71.8, but it doesn't matter if it's absolute exact, and it doesn't matter if it's 0.8 lower. It doesn't matter, but it does need to be below the response of the speakers that you're EQing. This is the whole reason for doing it. We are rebuilding, essentially, we are rebuilding our speakers, their response entirely using this method. So now now we have a lot more information. See, these are the finals. These are the final filters. This is, look, with the sub bass corrected, and then the speaker's just kind of now doing its own thing, but it's all been balanced. So if you we'll click on the lowest, that dip there, so we always measure from the same part. If you hold shift and left click and go all the way to the end, the average level is 72.5, right? Target level is 74.8, and this is with the left channel. Obviously, so these dips are it's taking things into account like this. Now you could do like pink noise range, which is say 500 hertz to 2K, 72.7. See, it's still off by 2 dB. Now, I'm not saying that what OCA is doing is wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when I EQ and I want my levels and everything to appear and be in a certain way, I am using REW's information to do this. So basically, again, every speaker is you find out the levels, 72.5. So what I do is I write down 72.5, That's so far my lowest one. Now I'm going to go a little bit further on here, so let's just do front height final. Lowest point, 72.5. Great job. Now if it's 72.5, then something's changed. 72.7, so it's actually higher. There's one of them that's lower. Final. It's one of the, I swear it's one of these Atmos ones. 72.3, a little lower. Update it. Surround back. Let's see. Oh. 71.8. I think that's my lowest. 71.8. So I go through all of my speakers like this and I work out which is the lowest speaker, right? And 71.8 now becomes my target. So that would lower the target level significantly. It will EQ all of the bass up to 500 hertz at this new level, but the speaker would still be like too high. What you then do is you EQ and it pulls all the levels down to exactly the same level. Now every part of the response is touched by EQ and it rebalances all this mess, right? And for me, I found that gives incredible sound. So now that we've found it at 71.8, close it, close this, we're going to start again. Go to the main menu, come down, optimize. So yeah, you kind of have to already know your level, which is like, you know, you just can't know. You have to go through it this way. But for me, look, I'm fine. If I want to get the best sound, I don't mind, you know, doing this just before I go to bed on my laptop and like working things out then, and then in the morning, as I say, upload it to the receiver. Once you get it and once you know your levels, you can just go ahead and EQ and pull everything to the target curve and everything like that. So what am I doing here? So what's so we're using the positions. All right, so here we go. Let's just fill this in real quick. So the movie one, +6. Now, I have asked OCA about this. I would like, say, the frequency range here, if there was a checkbox for 80 Hertz THX mode, so we could just lock all of these speakers, because I have to use these sliders, and they're not as good as they're actually not as good as Acoustica. Acoustica, I could just click here, right? Click, lock into 80 Hertz. You can't do that on this. You actually have to slide them. It's, you know. So if I could just have a button to click and it locks everything into 80 Hertz, we're not boosting. Everything gets to 500 Hertz. Interactive volume leveling and filters. That's it. So that's all you need to do. It is quick. Once you get it, it is quick. But you've just got to get there first. All right. Now we'll see. For the last hour or so what I've been yapping on about and what the problems is with the levels. Why does somebody think that? So it's actually 3 dB. Yeah, 3 dB lower. Why could somebody think that the levels and the level matching is not right? I'll show you. So we change that to 71.8. Confirm. Now I just saw there the volume of the subs. They're the same. They're relatively the same. -7.5, -8.5. It's the same. Nothing's changed. It's just the actual level of everything has come down up to 500 Hertz. Now I was thinking the level that we have, the max level of EQ is 500 Hertz. I was thinking, Wonder if I could get the same results if OCA put that to 24,000. Maybe, I don't know. So we don't need to change this. At the very least, with this way and this method, I know that what I'm doing is giving me these results when I go to the EQ section. If it was left to automate the whole thing, would it be doing the same thing? I'd really have to check. So, I mean, I found that doing things up to 500 Hertz is doing, again, everything that I want it to do. And I'll show you what it's doing. All right, so it's creating these filters again. Okay. But yeah, so it's getting these filters going. And then we'll have a chance in a sec to put our custom filters into these new levels, and you will see how the response is completely different. All right, so add custom filters. Okay, let's go to final. Again, you could put some extra things on the subwoofer, but look, you don't need to. It's perfect. I mean, this AcoustiX EQs perfectly. It does exactly what I want it to do. Right, so FL final. So let's go to EQ it. Right, so now this is our new level, and as you can see now, most of our target level is under the response of the speakers. There's a little bit there, but look, you know, and this is really why I chose to round it down to 71 instead of keeping it exact at 78. It's because I want to control this response entirely with this method. So configurable PEQ, we don't need to change the target levels or target curves or anything like that. Right, it's all done. So it blocked this out, you can't do that. I've set the range from 20 to 20,000. It won't EQ this because it's already been done. You can tell here it's just down in a rise at say 400. So maybe it didn't EQ everything to 500 Hertz. I hope I did put it to that. Again, even if it was at 220, like the default values are, it doesn't matter because I can do everything now in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out all of the boosting because we're above the target level anyway. I wanted to create a system where you don't need to boost to EQ. I don't even though I've got it in here for plus 3 dB boost, I don't want it. Individual max boost 0, no overall boost either. So what can it do? What can it do now to this response? Take that off and we'll see this response. So with 7 filters now, and other speakers will have to have more, we can take the target off as well. So we now have a basically flat response with that raise there, which is what I want, compared to the target. Look, it's got the raise. Clean, it's a clean now. Like my SVS speakers do have this raise here, completely taken care of now. Look at that. Look at that raise before. It's actually borderline unlistenable. But this is all done with negative EQ. Next, we won't do the right speaker because it's similar to the other. So again, we're looking for words underneath, C final. Let's get this center channel taken care of. So configurably PEQ. We are mostly under the response. No boosting. EQ this. What's that, 5? 5 filters. That's all it needed. 5 filters to get a flat response. Essentially flat. Or whatever your target curve is, right? We can now map our response to our brand new target. You are completely changing the sound of this system entirely because we're changing our target levels and then essentially kind of mapping everything to that. You couldn't do this before because the 74.5 or 9 or 74.8 that AcoustiX was choosing was really, it doesn't allow for EQ to happen. So now you have, now if someone says to me, AcoustiX doesn't have the dialogue that Neuron had, I don't know what that is. I never used it. I know it's something to do with the phone, and it was what I was like, it's something to do with the phone, I'm not going to bother with using it. I never used it. Maybe the working out levels was actually different then. I don't know if full range EQ was involved. I don't know what. But this is the first program that OCA has made for me, even with Acoustica. Express you couldn't do anything with because you could only EQ. I think it only EQ'd up to 300 hertz. I had an opinion about it, which you should never have an opinion about it if you've never done it, but I already preemptively had an opinion about it, is that if you don't have this type of configuration, it's not going to sound good, and it didn't for me. Got the bass levels right. It's the same with the acoustics. It can do the bass up to 300 hertz right, but the tonality is bad. Like, because sometimes I upload, while I was testing through the last 2 weeks, I was uploading things and I was just then listening to music. I'm like, ooh, this sounds hard and harsh. It doesn't sound musical at all. Oh, it's on flat. It's that standard calibration. In my opinion, that doesn't sound good. Now, one of the reasons why OCA could be so online with only, say, EQing in the bass areas up to, say, 300, maybe even 500 hertz, right? Even now, it's 500 hertz, you can go to a maximum, is because bass is so problematic in any room. It has to be taken care of no matter what. But if you didn't EQ your speakers at the higher end, then you would actually have to have speakers that tonality-wise match to your target already, which is difficult to do, because as soon as you put a speaker in a room, the room's doing all this. There's bouncing sounds all over the place. Now, sure, this is why room treatment, again, is... So you need a speaker that, with room treatment, doesn't reflect sounds like crazy, has your tonality and your target curve of every single 11 speakers in your room, or however many speakers, you 16 speakers. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, Express... people come on to the Facebook group all the time saying, this is great, I'm just using Express, I'm not using any of these special things. Great, right? Your sound went from probably Audyssey trash to what OCA is doing. It's much better. It's much better sound, and most people will just be happy with that. But for the tinkerers, the people that do truly know that something is still wrong with either balance, tonality, and everything, you can hear it, you know. You can do more, right? OCA might have speakers that sound tonality great without EQ. I should have listened to my speakers before I bought them, but I was like, I can EQ those. I can just EQ those to sound however I want them to sound, and with this you can. I love the look of the SVS speakers. It was everything that I wanted. I wanted a powerful speaker. It's still, even though it does require EQ, it's still the speaker I wanted, and I'm glad I've bought it. I won't need to change this speaker for years, or if ever. Like, this is the speaker I wanted. When it's calibrated, it's got gorgeous tonality, incredible treble. So, fixed. Next, a front height. Again, we've got to click on finals. Make sure they're always finals. Front height left. So what I do now is I know how to do it. I just get really quick about it. You change this to configurable PEQ so it matches the filters that Audyssey would use. Match response. Bang. You do this to all of your speakers. You do this to all of your speakers, and every single speaker is matched to this level. No more something's missing, something's wrong. I've never been able to get along with OCA's software past a certain one. This one sounded the best. You can do everything you want in here. You can rearrange the entire DSP chain of your system with this. This is why. So once I got that, it was like 3-4 days ago. Once I woke up and I knew this could be done, because I wasn't really impressed with acoustics at the start. And again, because it's under the Express version, there's only so much it can do. For regular people out there, it's a godsend, right? You can do this. It takes 5 minutes. Maybe put another couple of positions in. Bang, my bass levels are right. My levels are right. I don't need any more, right? I've got satellite speakers. You don't need any more. But for the people that really, I don't know if it's my ears, they're more sensitive, or it's just me being very picky about how my system needs to sound. This doesn't even have all pass filters, and it sounds better than Acoustica. So if anyone is wondering, I have got a lot of comments. I was like, can you please do a video? I want to know what's better. This is better. This is much better, even with all pass filters with Acoustica, it's better. Tonality and balance is so much better with this method. So much better. Now, a general rule of you could get into a general rule of thumb about the target levels. Lower them 3 to 4 dB of what they are. Let's say it was 74.8. Lower it to 70.8. Then EQ your system like this, every single speaker. So front, height, right. You have to do the finals. Everything that says final, you have to do. This doesn't have EQ applied to it. Look, you can see the levels are all off. Let's redo the levels. Bang. Everything gets tuned to this level. It's just again, you've now got to hear this. This is some serious balance now like this. This is, well, manually I could get this balance, but this balance manually took a long time to do. You'd actually have to test your speakers, like, to get the levels right, everything. This isn't using any positive, negative. I'm not even using the -6. I'm not using the full amount. These are reasonable cues. None of them above 6, but none of them above 10 or even the max 20. You're not over EQing your speakers here. This one has 9 filters, but you're not over EQing these speakers at all. Because you're not over EQing these speakers either. I mean, if you wanted to, again, you could put on max Q. It does use a lot less cues. I mean, let's do it. Let's see. So, still on my target level, still on there. Again, I think, yeah, look, the higher we go, the less cues we're using. So you can do that. I've generally found I didn't need it because, again, I've got this set up in here. So, but that's interesting as well. You could use one slightly different EQ method on the center. Somehow the center channel just sounded better when I did this. Somehow the center channel sounded better when I removed this. When I did this, when I removed this and this. Now it sounds, now see here, they got the points, 2K and 4 or 5K. Somehow it sounds better. Now you can include the back in again, but you can remove them. Now, if they're unmarked like this, then that part of the EQ won't get applied, and when you send it, you'll have a big thing going up here, a big peak. But again, you could want this. I don't know. Last speaker. Surround right final. Configurable PEQ. We'll turn that off now, max Q. Again, the entire 500 Hz has been completely rebuilt. Completely rebuilt. Now we rebuild everything above 500 Hz. Bang. Yeah, I'm telling you, you have to hear this like this. Just EQing at the generic, and I wouldn't say generic, the level that acoustics picks, and then you try and EQ that, it's just not enough. That tonality that you're after, with why I built this target curve, why I made it, with this slight boost here at 12K, it's never realized. It's absolutely just never realized at all. That tonality you're going after, that's not it. And this could be the same for Acoustica as well. Sounded great to a certain level. It sounded absolutely amazing with all-pass filters, that tight, clean sound. But I would bet that it was picking a target level and just negatively EQing it to that level, and it's got a bunch of stuff down here that it wasn't even touching. The best beauty about this is none of this is using positive numbers. You're not even boosting. Because I was like, how am I going to get over this boosting problem? I don't want to boost. Somehow, when I didn't use any boost, it gave me a cleaner EQ as well. Like, this is too close to even... When I used boosts, somehow it didn't look as good either. So if you're worried about clipping with, I know this is another discussion, clipping with acoustics, nothing's going to clip now because there's no boosting going on. The only boosting that's happening is in my subwoofers, which are 2000 watt passives and peak nearly 4000 watts. They're not clipping. They're not clipping because I can't show it. I'll show it after. But anyway, we're done. So confirm. All the filters get sent. Now, it shows what filters we did. Obviously, we want to do all of these, but obviously, then the other speakers would just be like flat. What would be on flat? Okay, you can see it. Why are my subs not clipping at all? I'm using plus 6 dB boost on the subs, which will cause the subs to clip if they're at 0 volume, if they're at reference volume. But I preemptively measured my subs and made sure my subs would measure at a level that would be negative here. Now, I am going through a mini DSP to do this and control the volume first. If you don't have that, then obviously you need to measure your subs first. It doesn't have to be, like, you can set, if you've got a microphone, you can just set the mics up really quick. Other than that, if you can't actually measure, well, actually, your phone can measure. Even though you could say, well, the phone isn't accurate, within reason, it is enough information. If you can measure pink noise, constant pink noise, it should be enough information. So measure your center speaker with pink noise. You want to measure 75 dB. Your subs, again, if the phone's relatively okay at measuring pink noise, bass is a little difficult for phones, I think, but that's, hopefully it could work. Measure each individual sub. Actually, you've got a test tone generator in these receivers themselves. That, again, that would just be enough just for this. That would be enough just for this. Again, all the speakers 75 dB. or just the center, just to see where the main volume should be. The left sub wants to measure 85. The right sub wants to measure 85. Now measure acoustics again with the microphone, everything. You will also see negative numbers here. When I see someone on the Facebook group posting like their EQs and they've got +8 on their subs, I'm just like, please let me EQ your system, please, like. But yeah, they're asking for like, should this be +8? And they're like, no, it should not be it shouldn't be +8. None of this should not be. This is why I keep mine below -6, below that. So any boosting that I am doing in the channel will not make this clip. So if you have positive numbers here, increase the volumes of your sub until you do not get positive numbers. If you can't measure it, and that's what you need to do. So if you're using any boosts on the channel as well, think about it. Now these numbers need to be below that to compensate for any boosting that could cause clipping. So that's it. That is how I've got just the best sound. And again, at the start, I was like, yeah, this wasn't, I mean, for me, I actually went back to Acoustica twice because I couldn't get the sound that I wanted. Couldn't do it. I was doing I have preset 1 and preset 2, going back and forth. I was like, it just doesn't sound as good as Acoustica. Once I found this rebalancing tool, target level manipulation, I guess you could say. Now this is better. Now this is, this is in a folder on in my documents. I have it. I have the measurements. As well as I could do. This isn't getting updated again, but I have it. I can always look back on it and think, okay, so this is what this was doing, and this is what the sound was. But for me now, I'm moving forward with this. The only thing now that is left for me to do is do this, see the differences between my own U-Mic 2 measurements and the Audyssey mic, and make some changes. Now, you could also re-EQ the target curve, right? But you can pull the target curve in. All right, this is my target curve. I don't know what's going on here. In any case, oh, that's the predictor. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Anyway, you can pull in a target curve, then make sure the target. What's going on here? Something's going on there. But you can actually EQ the target curve that you're using. So you pull in that same target curve and just lower this by, I think it was 3 dB. So you just put in a filter here. Starts at 4. So what? Probably about 8,000, right? So it'd be that. Where would it be? So negative, maybe -3. I'm not sure why it's not showing, but that's basically you could EQ the target curve itself. So even that could be done. So you're correcting even for the Audyssey microphone. So very powerful tool is AcoustiX. Very powerful. Let's pause that. So this is his video where he explains like how to use it, what to do, and yeah, and he's making this free. Like, he's not asking for money about it, but where is it? Try and give thanks to him. So I will probably give like $200. About $200, because this now is finally at the stage where it's improved my sound from Acoustica. Even without all-pass filters, even with using an Audyssey microphone, it's still better. There's a few little minor adjustments I can do if the treble is too high, where I don't have to do the arithmetic. I could just put a curve in just to lower the treble by 1, 2, 3 dB, whatever the differences are. You could just do that. Very simple. But yeah, if you do, look, if you can afford it, like everybody can afford it, but it'd be a nice Christmas present for OCA. If you can donate, please do. So yeah, I did not think I was going to let Acoustica go, and yeah, for 2 weeks now I've been kind of battling with acoustics to get it to sound exactly, and in the end it's not too bad, right? Going through that, you got to find out what the target level is, redo it. Okay, that's the target level. Now we bring everything to the target level. Simple. Lock in at 80 Hertz plus 6 dB boost only on the subs now. More changes coming in the future, I don't know, but this is it now. This is the balance that I think that I saw a conversation of yeah, the balance just isn't there for me. Something is missing. Now it is not missing. This is the balance that I've been trying to get on my own. I did get it, but the EQ methods aren't quite as good as and sophisticated as this. And this just gives you essentially a web UI to configure everything to what you want to do. It just makes calibration so much easier. The hardest thing is, if you understand the methods behind it, behind the madness, the hardest and most kind of annoying thing about all this is taking the measurements themselves. But trust me, do yourself a favor and try and put the time in to make as good measurements as you can with keeping your house as low noise floor as possible, heating off, kids, dogs out the house, anything that can make noise in the house. If you're like me, wrap things up so there's no reflections on the mics when you're even going that far, putting towels by doors, everything. And you will quite simply just get incredible sound now. So the multi-mic position is alive again for me. It wasn't before, it's bad. Now with this software you can do it. I don't know of any other software on the market that you can do this. Can you do this with Dirac? I don't think so. And if you can't, if it kills high frequencies, then Dirac is not something I can use. So there's just you'd have to measure a single position. Then you keep the tonality. The bass won't be quite as good and as balanced as it could be though, because there's differences from here to here to here to here, and so. But yeah, great job OCA. This is now at the level where your home theatre should transform. And for the really picky people out there that really do hear balance, you can fix everything. Absolutely everything gets fixed. So, great job. And I will leave the links in the description for this video, the folder, which this folder gets updated daily. Also check the log notes. Resolved issues, yeah. He's resolving issues like on a daily basis. So again, this is why I'm giving him $200, because he deserves it for the work he's putting in. Saves me, apart from the measurements themselves, this saves me a lot of time, something that would be painstakingly done in the PC app Multi-EQX for Audyssey. So yeah, I'll also leave a link in the description for this, like how you actually set microphones up from Anthony Gramani. Like I said, at first I didn't think about it, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I think this is actually going to work. Did some measurements by myself. Yeah, this is now the way to do it. So just elevate your sound as much as you can, and yeah, that's all I can say. So, but yeah, I'll leave all the links in the description. This is better than Acoustica, and it's much better than Express. Once you understand the levels and the way they work, and the way EQ works at certain different levels as well, yeah, this is it now. Is this as good as it can be? Well, I mean, you never know. I mean, what else is there? MIMO filters didn't work out for me, but maybe they could for some others. One of the problems with MIMO filters is I don't think it allows you to EQ the channel with your target curve, apart from in the bass area. So even if I had speakers that could do it, I'm not going to do it because it would destroy my left and right speakers. OCA kind of jokes about EQing a speaker is potentially destroying the speaker itself from its sound. I beg to differ. I'm the other way. I need to get to the point where I EQ it to save the speaker from it sounding harsh and just not good. Hard and harsh. That's all I can say in that area. Too much attack. I can fix it. So I would like to see OCA actually use this method on his own 2-channel system and tell me what he thinks. Maybe with my target curve. I mean, for music, I think my target curve. I'll leave the link as well for my target curves if anybody does want to use them. The Movies Harmon curve is a standard Harmon curve. I believe I've allowed the bass to not be boomy, but the target curve goes all the way down with no boost in the high end or anything like that. But some people said to me they wanted the musicality of that boost at 12,000 hertz, but they don't want the dialogue, essentially a dialogue filter of mid-range compensation. They didn't want that, so this is why I made a movies and a music curve. But for me, I use my standard here, music curve standard, which has just I think it makes my music sound perfect. To my ears, there's zero harshness, completely smooth. So I'll leave links in the description for that. And yeah, we have for now. I feel as though I've mastered acoustics. Took me 2 weeks, bugs, testing out the REW method of measuring things first with UMIC 2. Like there was a lot of back and forth, but we got there in the end. So very happy with this, and yeah, great job OCA. I appreciate you watching, and have a good day.